Hello, let's get into it. Let's talk about Jonasi Gomora in The Polygamist, and how he is the patriarch of pain. Pain, Spain without the S, champagne without the champ. Come on now. So let's talk about it. I have my juice over here. Grab tea, grab coffee, grab your drink. But let's get into it. So I've been thinking about Jonasi, all right? And how, in fact, the women, by the way, if you have not watched The Polygamist, let me give you a bit of a spoiler. So, it's a South African, apparently it was a book. It was a book. I should get the name of the writer. The writer is, I'll list the name of the writer of the book, but the director is somebody called Roli Nikiwe. If I have said it wrongly, pole sana. So, but it follows like a set of like a family based in South Africa. The head of the family is this guy. He's called Jonasi Gomora, and he's married to somebody called Joyce Gomora, and there's a lady called Matipa Ha, and someone called Essie, Lindani Freedom, and we also have Mpume, and Menzi and Magesh, and we'll get into some other characters. So it follows somebody called Jonasi and his wife Joyce, who apparently, as the name says, this guy, he is the polygamist pro max on steroids, period. This guy ends up, I don't know if I should give the spoilers here, but it basically, he just cheats a lot. Let me just say, he just cheats a lot. And the victim, I believe, of this Netflix series isn't the women, because I feel like the women enabled this guy's behavior, Jonasi's behavior. We'll talk about that later. But I want to talk about how we had this set book called River and the Source. And we used to do this set book, and you go and like during English literature, you like look at the different characters and how they basically like the origin and the lineage of these people. But I feel like for Jonasi Gomora, it's very interesting, and I'm associating him with the Patriarch of Pain. This guy caused so much pain and drama. He basically like cheated on so many people, and you can actually see this effect on the true victims of today's actually discussion, the kids. So Jonasi, I won't give the whole spoiler. I'll give a spoiler hopefully on the next episode. But he had a daughter, right? Sarah, who is Essie's baby, right? I feel like the effect of Jonasi, especially on Sarah, is the most hurtful, because Sarah wanted a relationship with Jonasi, and this guy couldn't even show up to a meal on time with this guy, with his own daughter. Yo, excuse me please. This, I feel like Sarah idolized Jonasi. The fact that he didn't have Jonasi and he knew that he was the father. The emotional turmoil kwanza Jonasi put Sarah, I feel like, is so painful, because she knew Magesh was not the father, right? He knew he was the uncle. She tried the whole meal scene here, and when this guy doesn't show up, and she basically like reads him a whole like poem, like I think she had written it even on her phone, on how like he wanted Jonasi to be there, but he wasn't there. It just goes to show you this guy was so dissociated with Sarah and Essie. And I think this thing is true, where if the man loves the woman, the love will translate to the child, and if it doesn't, it won't translate. In fact, I don't believe Jonasi even loved himself as a person. I think he didn't actually love himself as a person. But Sarah, you could see that even the rejection and the abandonment issues that Jonasi caused her, And not even like the kissing scene between Magesh, who is the father-in-law, not father-in-law, basically uncle and brother to Jonasi, with her was crazy.
Oh my God, what is that?
And I think she mistook fatherly love for romantic love at some point. But even the fact that she ended up sleeping with Pume's boyfriend just to get back at her, I believe, because she wanted to just hurt him, to show her maybe even though you didn't have a dad, or like even though you had a dad, like maybe she's thinking Mpume has always had a dad. She wanted an iPhone for her birthday, the ceremony for Jonasi to be there to basically recognize that this is my child, which Jonasi didn't give her, is a bit interesting. And I feel like a salty pill, an interesting pill to swallow for Sarah, because I think she is the one I ended up feeling most sorry for, because she basically gave her love to a wall and it just got it bounced back to her. And I think because she realized I can't please Jonasi, or I can't please my dad or get the affection from my dad, she tried getting it from everywhere else and ended up hurting Mpume. Mpume is the only sane person, I think, from episode 1. She's the one who knew that Jonasi wasn't anything, like wasn't like who he wasn't like a man of action. He didn't love the mother Joyce, and he didn't even basically care for them, and he was just after his own self. The thing I think with Mpume is, sadly, because she knows the truth, and the naivety is away from her eyes, or like has been lifted from her eyes. I feel like she's with this sense of sadness and bitterness, and you can't blame her. It's just this is one of those things, right? But yeah, I feel like it left Sarah, it left Mpume feeling a bit sad. But I thought she was the most sane person in that series, in my opinion. Alright, let's go to Freedom. Also, I think Freedom was very sane as well. I think that he became a bit indifferent in terms of like, he knew, especially during the birthday scene, this scene.
Good luck. I'll tattoo message.
So,
Tattoo. How?
He knew that Jonasi was just there because Joyce forgot to throw her a party for his birthday, and Lindani wasn't up for it because Matipa wasn't up for it because she just had twins, and basically Jonasi was not like present and stuff like that, and Matipa wasn't having it. Then this guy goes to Essie's house, and there he finds Freedom, and Essie welcomes him with open arms. But Freedom could read behind it, and he was like, the reason why this guy is here is because he's been rejected by all of these people, and then he's come to this house. And I think Freedom is basically the Mpume, the way like he's like the same factor, like in Kina S's home. All right, let's go to Menzi. Someone I also feel very sad for, I would say. Like, you remember when Magesh is basically telling them in the end of the series that you need to continue your father's legacy even though he has mistakes. You need to continue his legacy. Do you remember that? And it's interesting that it's only Sarah and Menzi there. And I believe in a way they did. Like, you can check this part. And I feel like in a way they did, because I feel like the pain that this guy caused them ended up translating more towards the two characters, Menzi and Sarah. Because you can see Menzi, when we're introduced to him, he is a bit shy. He doesn't know how to talk to girls. Then by the end of the series because he had such an obsession with Lindani and Jonasi ended up getting with Lindani, not him. During the guy's funeral, Menzi and Lindani are there doing the thing. So you can actually see how he progresses from being maybe a bit like, you can just see, I feel like a downward character like angle, in terms of like he starts off a bit like wanting to give Lindani like, oh, I want to marry you, to now to the point that, because now Jonasi ends up like sleeping with Lindani before him. I think it caused a bit of resentment. And during the funeral, the fact that Menzi was sleeping with Lindani, which is in a way what he wanted, but maybe not the version of him that was introduced to us in episode 1, goes to show you like the pain, I think. And it's interesting because Menzi didn't idolize Jonasi in the first few episodes. Him and Mpume were like this. They were like telling Joyce, just kick this guy out of the house, kick him out. But did Nani listen? Did Joyce listen? No. No, but actually I thought Joyce was actually gonna do it. We're gonna talk about the ladies later. But the fact that Menzi, I feel like it's very sad as well, because he ends up rejecting or not liking what he was doing to the mom in terms of cheating and all of these things, to basically idolizing him at some point when he had like was it AIDS, and then to the end where he's Menzi is Gomora, and it's continuing. And this guy, you can actually see him, he not only hurts the women in his life, because we saw his effect mostly or sana with the women, like kina Matipa, kina Joyce, kina Lindani, kina Essie, Sarah and Pume. But I feel like Menzi was very interesting, because I feel like Freedom was hurt, yes, but I don't think it was to the extent you see it hurting Menzi. Because even Magesh, I feel like, yeah, he realized he enabled Jonasi's behavior, taking Essie to be his fake wife. But I think Menzi shows the fact that even men not only hurt women, they also hurt other men, in terms of like, yeah. And because he was the father, you just see that this trickling down of pain. And I like how it ends, in terms of like, it's an open-ended question, because now you're like, how do we heal from this? But yeah, it was a very nice series. I'm gonna talk about how the women enabled Jonasi like later. They aren't actually the victims. They maybe were, but not to the extent that they had to be, you know. But yeah, this was a very nice series. Let me tell you, new episode, new wonders. Every new episode, you're like, wow, 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 wow. And yo, oh my god. Anyway, but South Africa, I love South African films, so I feel like yeah, we're going to basically be reviewing this. And also, my name is Shaquei. I'm an artist, but I get inspiration from the movies I watch and the shows I watch and the music I listen to. So I've decided I'll be basically also reviewing the shows I've watched, and also getting people's views on it. And if you have anything you want us to discuss on how, like, if you agree with me in terms of like the true victims were actually the kids, let me know in the comments. And you know what, I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.